Somehow, Colin returned, and not because of dark science or cloning, but because of the love from What's the Script and casting views.
I would say it's nice to have you back, but after that, probably not.
I know. You caught me by surprise there, mate. How you doing, Colin?
Yeah, I'm good. Glad to be here for our 100th episode spectacular.
Yeah. How's your vacation? Going on a different podcast?
It's quite good for the mental health. Like, I didn't get slagged off near as much, which is quite nice.
Well, to be fair, I think the people have spoken, and they want James and me just to carry on the podcast. I think you're tease it, son.
That's not what I was. That's not what I was seeing on X today.
I know you've got a wee cult following. It's not fair. You're like Big Trouble in Little China, just a wee cult classic, aren't you?
Yeah, people will appreciate me in 20 years.
A lot of love for Colin it there.
Well, hopefully a lot of love for Seismic Cinema as well. So it's our 100th episode. Looking all the way back to our first ever episode, which was the Book of Boba Fett episode 1, and following in the path of that train wreck is what could be considered another train wreck in the Star Wars sequels.
Oh, good link.
I decided to make my screen name Colin Skywalker because if Rey can do it, then anybody can, eh?
Aye, that's true.
Yep. And I'm Big Papa Palps just because I'm just one big plot hole in it.
I was forced to change my name to a Star Wars reference. I'm on James Ren today.
You should have just put that. You should have just put that as your screen name. Right. So make sure, and I've added that wee bit in there. Make sure you follow Seismic Cinema and Seismic Soccer on. I don't know if they're on Facebook, but they're on X and they're on X. I don't know what else they're on yet, but they're on somewhere. But Seismic Cinema are definitely on all those places. And you can also check out our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, and all the other pods. And you can contribute to helping James get a nice microphone by donating at buymeacoffee.com/Seismic Cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Well, definitely. I think the sound of my voice isn't as good a crisper quality than yours. So, yeah, help me out, folks.
Yeah. See, before we get into reviews, our 100th, because it's our 100th episode, just like to say, well done to you, Colin, because literally 99 out of the 100 episodes that you've done, you've probably been the main kind of driving force behind it all. You kind of just brought me on at the start, just as a kind of just see how it would work out. I thought we'd last about 3 or 4 episodes, then we get bored. Or it just would be like, what are we doing? This is stupid. But
it just becomes part of the week, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you've done well consistently wise, because it could have been easy just to kind of have one of these wee lulls and then not get back to it. And it's great to have the new guys come in, expanding and making it a better venture. So like Jamesy boy, we got Gary, we got Daniel. So yeah, it's looking forward to 100 more. But just to say congratulations to you, Colin. Not because I felt bad for slagging you last week, so it would be nice to you this week.
I was going to say that there. I was just thinking last week you were talking so much. I mean, Paul did a lot of editing last week. Trust me on that. And then this week he's blowing smoke up with us, mate. I don't know what's going on here.
I'm just a people pleaser.
that was more heartfelt than his wedding speech.
Scarlett didn't write it for me.
No, congratulations, guys, on it all. I do appreciate you bringing me on board on that as well. So, on to 100 more, defo.
No, it's been good. And I think it all goes back to our slogan of the power of escapism. And I must admit, I think doing the podcast has really helped during like challenging times you have in life. Do you know what I mean? I think just breaking away from it and talking about stuff for a wee hour is pretty good.
I agree.
Aye, 100%. It's definitely added something that was missing.
The missing ingredient.
Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of recent episodes, yeah, Paul and James, you were doing a Big Trouble in Little China last week.
Indeed.
And before that, the last episode was Seismic Soccer 2, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, that seems so long ago.
Aye, it was. I know. I kind of wish I'd just done the 100 now. It feels kind of weird that it's kind of like when a footballer plays for like 99 consecutive games, then just requests to be a sub in the 100th game, but never mind.
I was just going to say, does that mean you can take you off halfway through then, so you can get around for applause?
Yeah, we might as well.
Just continue.
Take me off in the 100th minute. Anyway, before people tune out, I suppose we better get into what we're doing. So, going to review the Star Wars sequels, starting with number 7, share some views from our friends on Twitter, and then on to episode 8, episode 9, and then a wee summary at the end, with lots to talk about in the middle. So,
Indeed.
first part of the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens. So I'm going to do my teacher thing. I'm going to pick on Paul, who didn't have his hand up, to get the ball rolling here. Thoughts on Force Awakens?
So, I think I went to see this the day after it came out in cinemas, and I remember seeing the opening crawl came on, like everybody like stood up and started clapping in the cinema, and I've never been in a cinema when that's happened.
Did you join in?
No, I was too embarrassed. I was like, this is DB. I'm just too socially awkward. I hate this. No, I'm not standing up. So I watched that in cinemas, and I think it's kind of like a theme for me. These I've watched them all in cinemas when they first came out, and I've came out thinking, wow, that's pretty good. Just the kind of sheer excitement, the sheer adrenaline from it all. I think, wow, that was awesome. And don't get me wrong, like I've probably said this a few times over the episode, like visually, this movie is great. Like all three of them are like visually stunning movies. And I thought with this, it was like a great reintroduction back into the Star Wars universe after such a long time of like having nothing really. And it did kind of follow some familiar beats that we'd all seen in the older Star Wars films, which I didn't mind at the time, wasn't too bothered by it. Introduced some great characters. And then it was one of these films like, I don't know, like, when you start listening to other people and it starts to skew your opinion of it. I'd listen to like YouTube shows and stuff or podcasts, and they would start to go on about the rehashing of like the trench run and stuff like that from A New Hope, and that kind of skewed it for me. But yeah, initially I enjoyed it a lot. Then it just kind of fell to bits. But in this one, I'm going to say A New Hope Mark II. It was a good foundation for what the trilogy could have been. Like, it was a good stepping off point, and a lot of characters were introduced that could have been great. But I'll let you carry on with it.
I first seen this film a few days ago. just joking. Nah, I don't remember when exactly when I seen it. I seen it in the pictures for sure. I don't remember exactly when. Obviously, Paul.
It came out during our probation year.
Aye. I don't remember.
Christmas of my probation year it came out.
I mind it was Christmas time, definitely. But can't tell you when exactly when I seen it. But I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I was a big Star Wars fan as you guys, and I know you like Star Wars for when we were at uni and that together. Do you know what I mean? And that's all you spoke about, to be fair. But
really not.
No, I really enjoyed the film. I just kind of took it for what it was. I didn't like Paul. I didn't kind of go into too much reviews on it all. I just kind of took it for what it was. I enjoyed it. It was, visually, it was amazing. A lot of good characterization in it, introduced new characters, character building. It was just good to see that, and the suspense of looking Leia, Han Solo. You knew we were in it, but when would they appear, etc. That was all good. I liked it, and I think it was a good introduction to the three films that we're going to review. I don't really pay attention, to be fair, to any of the kind of plot holes as much as you guys, I reckon.
It's more Paul than me.
I think, I don't know, I think it's very hard to please Star Wars fans. I think they're like, and you might disagree here, but whenever I speak to one, it's like they're totally set in their ways, and it's like, well, hold a minute, you can't do that. No, that's right, you should never have done that. And I'm like, well, it's good to try and do, try different things. And all right, it may not pay off, it may not be good enough, but I think for this film here, and I won't go into any spoilers what I think about the rest, but I think this film here was a good building block for the three, and we can go into more detail. But I really enjoyed it.
I know what you're saying, but I feel like there's a difference between trying new things and downright contradicting something that's been set up previously, which both kind of happen during these films, I would say. I've got a lot of fun memories of this film. I remember do you remember, Paul might remember, when the first the table read photo was released, and they were all just sitting in the circle, and you had like Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill. You should look it up if you've not seen it. It's really good, that. And I had while I was saying, I was in my first year as a teacher when this was like promoted to come out, and I had a daily countdown on my board for like the last month before it came out. So I think I saw it maybe 3 or 4 times in the cinema. I went up to Glasgow to see it in the big cinema as well. It was a good time. I must admit, I really enjoy this film, and I don't really. Paul talks about the kind of rehashing, but I always go back to George Lucas's famous quote of that Star Wars is like poetry and it rhymes, and like we'll experience similar things in our lives that our families have experienced before us, and things do repeat. And I know there's the whole thing about BB-8 fulfilling the R2-D2 role, but I absolutely love BB-8. I think he's like the most adorable little dude ever. Like, how can you not love that guy? So it didn't particularly bother me in that sense.
Yeah. Did you have the wee BB-8 remote control?
I've got a BB-8 and an R2-D2, and actually that like evil BB-8 from Last Jedi, BB-9E, the black one that's in Battlefront. I've got them, the kind of app controlled droids.
Yeah.
You control your phone, the Sphero ones.
No, I had the BB-8 one as well. I was just saying, like, I was just gonna say, because like James was saying, like Star Wars fans like hard to please. Not like I'm not really. I do love Star Wars, but like I'm not one of these people that like have read the books, have gone to like Legends. I've literally just watched the movies, watched the TV shows, and that's me kind of thing. And like, I don't know, like Colin saying that like some of it does contradict things that be set up before. But I think I was just expecting something a bit more original, because like in like the previous movies we've seen the Death Star 1 get blown up, Death Star 2 get blown up, and then this was just like a planet-sized Death Star getting blown up. And it's just like, it's just the same thing happening over again.
I agree with you on that, although I don't mind similar themes reappearing. I think they should have went away from like super weapons, and as much as we like them and they look cool in this film, the stormtroopers and like the First Order is basically just the Empire. There's no real differences between it. So yeah, I do think they should have went down like a more original route.
Yeah,
overall,
it does kind of make it as if like the first 6 movies didn't really do anything to abolish the Empire, because it just basically happened again.
I know that aspect was disappointing, but I think, James, from a filmmaking standpoint, you must have loved all the kind of practical effects that they went down for this film.
Aye, it was pretty good. There's like I don't know if we're going to break it down scene by scene, but the practical effects in the film were phenomenal. Just visually stunning.
There was one in Jakku. It's quite early in the film, and there's like a wee bird just like pecking something in the sand. I quite like that bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's at the start.
I liked all the creatures in Mazkanat's castle.
Oh, that's another. That's like this trilogy's like most Isley Cantina, isn't it?
Aye, pretty much. Aye, I didn't think of it that way, but aye, you're right.
It's also in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, by the way, how good those games? Like they look good. I still play Battlefront 2. I still play that. I think it's a lot of hate for what was when it started. But anyway, that's a different podcast. That's a games podcast.
I think it'd be good to break down some of the main characters, and then as we go on, we can talk about how they've kind of evolved over time. So, Paul, in this movie, was there a particular standout character that you enjoyed?
I think, for me personally, the most intriguing one was Finn. Like, you know, I think I've said it in a previous podcast. Like, long live the Empire. That's me. They did nothing wrong. Basically, I was intrigued to see the angle of like an Imperial insider, like a turncoat. I keep saying Imperial, but it's First Order. Like how they're going to bring humanity to the First Order, and I thought they were going to explore that a lot more. But like talking this movie in isolation, I quite liked his character just going from like seeing his comrades getting killed, the kind of horrors of war, like maybe a wee bit of PTSD kind of kicking in for him, and then turning to the good side, making connections, turn out to be a wee bit of a hero. I did think he got a wee bit kind of cocky, snarky throughout the film, which I didn't really like. I'd like that if he was a bit more kind of humble about things, but he was the character that kind of intrigued me the most. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of characters that were like really intriguing, but Finn for me kind of was the one I was most interested in, just because seeing it from the First Order's eyes, like how that would go.
I think it'd be quite fun if, like, each movie we pick out a different character, and then when we get to Last Jedi, we can't use the ones from before. Like, we can still talk about their development, but we could just introduce somebody that we quite liked in each of the films.
Fair enough.
It'd be quite fun.
Okay, told me that before I spunked my first answer. And
yeah, but we'll come back to Finn because he does have an interesting journey across the trilogy. So, James, is there a particular character from Force Awakens that you?
Now you've said that.
Enjoyed?
Now you've said that. Because there's a few here that I want to mention, but I think maybe the one I was going to mention, I might mention later on in another film, unless you mention. I'm going to mention Kylo Ren, simply because I think that the introduction to him in the film and his background was really, really good. Well done. I think the actual presence, like obviously it wasn't Darth Vader, but I liked the mask. I liked the way that he spoke as well. Kind of Bane-esque.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, from Batman. It's just kind of the way it was.
I know who Bane is. He just assumes I've not seen anything.
Our audiences might not know.
If in doubt, that's true. Bane. Well, Bane from the Nolan universe anyway, certainly. He spoke like him with the mask on, and I think just with his lightsaber as well, I just think it like on par with Darth Maul, I think, in terms of antagonists from the first film. Obviously his character develops further and further through the film. But I just think it's an introduction to to him and as an antagonist was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
What did you make of him being Han and Leia's son? Because there was a lot of like, what's the word, speculation about who Rey was going to be, who Finn was going to be, like who they're going to be connected to. Were you surprised that it was Han and Leia's son, or did you think he was someone else? Either of you?
I didn't really think getting of it, to be honest. Like when I seen him, I just thought he was a dark side force user. When does he reveal that he's Han's son?
It's like halfway through. He's talking to
Halfway
Snow.
through. Right. Okay. Yeah, because like when you first see him, like you just think he's like a badass like force user because like straight off the bat you see him using powers that we've never seen before, like when he freezes the blaster bolt in midair. And like James was saying, like the map between the mask and new style lightsaber, and Adam Driver's like a phenomenal actor, like just in general. Like I thought he killed it in this film, and him being their child, I think it made for an interesting arc through the movies. But when I seen that, I was like, man, they must have really messed up their parenting classes for this to happen. But I quite like how in this one he's a bit like a petulant child. Like we'll talk about later on, but like some of his behaviour is a bit. You probably see it in your classrooms, probably.
Well, I'm just picturing him that scene where he's just destroying the console with his lightsabers, and then the wee guy's coming up behind him trying to ask him questions.
Yeah, nope. Not
Anything
today.
else? Did you feel like he lost his? Because I think with the mask he was quite intimidating. See, when he took the mask off, did you think he lost that, or did you think it added a bit more like realism to him?
Personally, I think he lost that intimidation factor. I think not knowing who's behind the
intentional,
mask.
maybe because they wanted the audience to like relate to him a bit more.
Possibly, like the mask on, you don't know who's behind it. It's that suspense mystery. Whereas if the mask is off, you know the identity's there, and it's to kind of build up for future films. Possibly is to get you warm to him. Possibly, but I would prefer it personally if the mask is on all the time, just because I like that that kind of idea of being intimidating and ruthless as an antagonist. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think his scenes with Rey might not have been as powerful with the mask on, though? Possibly.
That's true. Aye. They needed to be pulled off.
She wouldn't have fancied them otherwise.
Just came into my mind there, and I think it's something we can add because obviously there's a lot of big names in this, but there's two, just off the top of my head, there's two like really big cameos in this film. Do you know or remember who they are?
Is it the boy out of the Raid movie?
No.
Okay.
I've seen a bit of trivia as well, mate. The martial arts expert.
Wasted, man. Wasted. I love the Raid. That's one of my favourite films.
The Raid is amazing.
I already. Are you talking about the criminal syndicates on?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that. I've never seen the Raid. I will watch it if you want me to. But I knew that
should be an episode for us, the Raid, because that's an amazing movie.
I knew there was an actor from that though, because when I was watching like a Force Awakens trivia when it mentioned that, so there's somebody who's a stormtrooper, and then there's someone who's like a junk dealer. Oh, you'll know at least one of these, probably both. I would have thought. If you didn't, I'd be surprised. Do you know both?
I know my Star Wars trivia, man.
Okay, and you go then.
I guess somebody then.
James will guess then.
James.
Right, I'm going to guess, just a random guess, a stormtrooper. Is it male or female?
Male.
Male.
How about James? I'll give you a hint for one, right? Colin has a signed thing from
him. Simon Pegg.
Yep. Do you not know Simon Pegg was on this?
I did not know. I've met Simon Pegg.
No, you haven't. I have.
I should have picture.
It was fake.
Me and Simon Pegg are best of mates, mate.
Aye. Simon Pegg told Colin he was going to be in the film before he knew it. I'm
going to get one of the guests of Isaac Cinema. Just you wait.
So he was the Unkar Plutt, the big junk dealer guy who tried to buy BB-8 off Rey. That's him inside the fat suit.
Oh man,
I know he's a big Star Wars
fan. I know he's a big Star Wars fan.
20 portions.
Well, do you know who the stormtrooper is?
The dead 007.
That's Daniel Craig. Yeah, he's one of the stormtroopers. He's the one that Rey like force mind tricks. I think.
Oh, nice.
So that was 2 big cameos. It was good. We all must have shed a wee tear, especially when the trailer came out. See, when you see Han and Chewie coming back on board the Falcon again, like that was some good times.
Yeah, I think that's another point in the cinema when everybody was like, yeah. And I was like, hey, summer in, the movie's on. Come on, come on.
I know.
Can't say.
What did you make of Harrison Ford in this movie?
Mate, he's a famous classic. He could say anything, and I'd be like, he's a man.
I thought it was brilliant, personally.
No, I enjoyed his role. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think there was, part of me was like, oh, I don't know if he could pull it off again, whatever. But I thought he was great in the whole film. Well, for what he was in.
For someone who didn't really like the Han Solo character, I did think he gave a really good performance.
Yeah, I think he had like a wee kind of bit of like a wee splash of Indiana Jones in there as well. Like, when he's like he's about to try to talk his way to situations and stuff, he's just like try to just bullshit his way through. I like that's kind of like Indiana Jones when he gets caught.
I liked the bit I found particularly emotional was the line about how he didn't used to believe in the Force, but now it's true, all of it. And it just takes you back to that scene in A New Hope when he's calling it like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Something I noticed, and it's jumping ahead a wee bit, but I would forget it otherwise. Finn basically repeats what Han said in that scene in Rise of Skywalker. You just watched it, James. He says like it's true, like that kind of thing, which I thought that was quite good to see because I like that bit. What did you make of the music in the film?
You can go first, Jamesy boy.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, mate. I can't remember the music.
Were you, Paul?
I like the individual themes that everybody had. Like Kylo Ren when he was like going through the hallways and stuff. It was like individual to himself, so you knew like who was coming into the scene. And I was going to say about Rey's theme, but I know you're going to be gushing about it, Colin, so I'll let you take that away.
How did you know I like that one?
Because you always talk about it.
It's good. When she's sliding down the hill on the wee thing. I really liked actually those Rey's early scenes on Jakku when she's just kind of going about her business, climbing up and down that visual, by the way, of the Star Destroyer lying in the sands. Brilliant. Oh, talking about that was meant to be one of our backgrounds. Hold on. There we go. That scene was pretty epic. Rey's a character that is polarizing, but I actually personally quite like her as a character. Like, I don't really get all the hate that she gets, particularly. Like, I understand some of the choices in terms of the surname she chooses, that kind of thing. But I think generally speaking in this film, particularly, I think that Daisy Ridley's acting is really good, and I quite liked her character in this film. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I would say, like, personally, like, see, throughout all the films, I don't really have any problem with anyone's acting. I think everyone like acts their heart out and plays the part really well with whatever they're doing. I just think that they're working with a lot of poor writing. They're working with what they got, and I don't know. I feel like Daisy Ridley does get a hard time of it. Like they're saying, like, oh, she's like a Mary Sue. She's got like all the powers before, like blah 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 blah. But I don't know if you get that much hate. Like, see if it was like a kind of Luke Skywalker character, I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. But I think just because it's a woman, it's just like so much flack going her way. It's just my personal feeling on it.
Because I was thinking as soon as she starts flying the Millennium Falcon, and part of you is like, should she be able to do that at this stage? But she does like bang it up quite a bit. Like scrapes it off the ground, crashes it into things. It's not like she is being flawless. And the same with her like lightsaber fights as well.
Yeah, and plus, like, I would imagine a lot it's like computer assisted as well. Like, I doubt she's just flying like a joystick and like, there you go, boom, boom, done, done.
It's a lot of trickiness involved. What did you make of Rey, James?
I didn't mind her at all. Actually, quite enjoyed her character in the film and throughout the whole series. To be honest with you, apart for the end. But I think that I know what you're saying, Paul. But she could be kind of known just to fly the Falcon. You mean that you just can't do that, and I quite like the fights because you knew that it was raw. The fighting, you know, she wasn't meant to be like a grab a lightsaber and just wreak havoc with it. Do you know what I mean? That you can see the fight scenes with the saber fights that it wasn't perfect. And I know what you're saying, it could be like, you know, generated and all that sort of stuff, but even then, I still think it was pretty decent. You know what I mean? So I didn't really mind her character. I think the acting was great from her actually. Who plays her again?
Daisy Ridley. She's in Murder on the Orient Express as well.
I've seen that.
Oh yeah, you haven't seen them. Yeah.
No, but that's good. That means the acting was good, mate. I said I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with any character really. In the film, I don't think.
Saying that about Ray's Daisy Ridley's acting, I thought in Last Jedi it was a wee bit off at times. It was some of the scenes with we'll come to, but some of the scenes with Luke they were just a wee bit slapstick. I thought in Last Jedi, but we'll come back to that when we get to that. Something that annoys me about this, not annoys me about this film. It's not this film's fault, but what they ultimately did or didn't did in a better way with Snoke. I feel like as great as
Andy just said didn't did.
You said did.
Didn't do.
Somebody needs to take a trip to the English department.
Anyway, I feel like Snoke's ending and then the reveal in Rise of Skywalker, I feel like when you're watching the Snoke scenes, they lose all their like they were quite intriguing at that point because there was a lot of talk about him being like Darth Plagueis and different things, but the fact he's basically just like a clone of Palpatine that Palpatine was like orchestrating, it's a bit like, I don't know, do you feel looking back, or Paul didn't really look back because I didn't watch them, but how do you feel now about Snoke's scenes in this film? Do you feel they lose a bit of their gravitas because of how it ends up? I'll direct that to James first because Paul didn't rewatch it.
No, I thought Snoke was a good character. To be honest with you, I thought it was a rip off of Davros for Doctor Who. To be honest with you,
I mean more the fact that the reveal he was a clone of Palpatine and it was Palpatine controlling him. Do you think that takes away from The Force Awakens in terms of his characterization a bit?
Probably actually, because it's just like I don't know, is it rehashing again?
Well, he's not really got any agency in himself. Like if he's, they didn't really go into detail, but the fact he's just like a puppet of Palpatine, it's like,
because Palpatine says that, didn't he? In the third one, but I just think it does take away kind of his character a bit, because I actually quite like Snoke as a character.
I liked him as well. I liked his gold gown.
And I thought it was just a shame.
I like his voice. Andy Serkis killed it, man.
Actually, good. I had to Google that. Who did the voice? Andy Serkis is also he's in The Last Jedi, isn't he?
Andor as well.
He's in Andor, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think about Snoke retrospectively?
I can imagine. I can see where you're coming from. If you're watching it again, you're just kind of like,
it's a waste of time. The scenes now. It's a bit like
he's basically just a puppet. It may as well just be a puppet on strings. And like, see Palpatine, like, did he have powers that he could like manipulate people through holograms? Because I feel like Snoke seems like way overpowered for what Palpatine was.
Well, I think we'll get to Palpatine a lot when we get to episode 9.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
But no, I would say,
yeah, I think like obviously because the batons were getting passed from each movie to each movie that I think the founding idea was really intriguing, and this could have been like Finn, like an amazing villain that anything could have happened with. He could have been from anywhere, could have opened up so many doors, and then I think they just pissed it away. So it is a bit sad looking back at it and thinking it's such a waste to have something looking this good, sounding this good, ultimately being just a waste of space.
Yep. I feel like that's a good place to kind of round up on this film, because we'll come back to elements of it probably as we progress as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Paul, do you want to go first? What would your seismic stars be for The Force Awakens?
I would probably go. I'm going to go 7. Like, I think I keep in my head, I keep bundling it together with like the whole trilogy as a whole, and I think that's fair. Alone in itself, it's a pretty decent movie. Like, it's got a lot of ambitious ideas. Having to bring in a lot of new characters, and I think the majority of them they managed to make it work. Like, it was the MD I thought, like, well, they're kind of out of place, or what are they doing here? Like I was saying, visually stunning. The action was great. Had me absolutely gripped from the moment they landed on Jakku with the dropships for the First Order, that battle. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I think looking back at it, because like I was saying, I'm kind of a bit skewed by the other films. I'm thinking that I should hate this film, but I don't actually. I enjoyed it, so I'm going to go for a solid 7.
That's very mature of you, Paul.
It doesn't happen very often.
It does have a lot of rewatchability still, I would say. I think it's one you could just sit down a Saturday night and just have a good time, switch your brain off.
Yeah, I think if I had the choice of all 3, this would be my go-to one.
Cool. James, what about you? What would you give this one out of 10?
I won't disregard any other film really before.
Yeah, we'll do an overall trilogy at the end.
So I'm going to go for a 7 as well, mate. I really like the characters, introduction of the characters, the reintroduction of characters. I enjoyed the story, and I think, like you say, Colin, it has got you can rewatch it from time to time and no feel bored. You know, like there's films you watch and you go, you know what, it's on, and it's just on in the background. Whereas if I watch this, I watch it from start to finish, and it's not just something playing in the background while I'm on my phone or something. Do you know what I mean? So, I think I'm going to get a 7 as well.
I think it's paced really well in the sense of it's got a lot of action. Like, one scene I love is when Han and Finn are fighting the stormtroopers on Takodana, and then Poe arrives in his X-wing and that's one hell of a pilot. I really like that scene. But see, if we compare it to Rise of Skywalker, I felt that was a really kind of fast-paced film, but I don't think they took any time to actually breathe. Whereas in Force Awakens, I think they did slow down at times with Rey on Jakku, and like the conversations with Han and Leia reuniting, which was really nice. So I thought the pace was spot on with this one.
Yeah, I agree.
We also forgot to mention the last scene. The amount of times I rewatched that when Rey's walking up and you see Luke for the first time in like however many years, just standing on the hill, and all the speculation, which maybe wasn't worth it for that bit in the end. But it was really good. So I'm torn between, I think I'm going to go 8 out of 10. And I think part of it's retrospectively, like my favorite word probably on the podcast, in terms of the Snoke scenes maybe not landing as well now. But I also think, I didn't think the space battle was up to much, as you said. Although I didn't mind like the BB-8 R2-D2 links, I felt that the space battle was quite forgettable. And then the whole kind of Starkiller base thing, I think the stuff with Han and Rey, Chewbacca and co was really gripping, but I wasn't really that interested in the space battle. So yeah, I think I'll go 8 out of 10 for those reasons. What did you guys make of the kind of space battle in this one?
Yeah, I thought it was decent, but it was kind of basically a trench run, wasn't it?
It wasn't very memorable, was it?
No, and I don't like everything. Just seems so convenient. Like like when they try to get the shields down from inside, like Finn and Han and Chewie try and get the shields down, and then Captain Phasma just happens to be there at that certain point, at a certain time on this massive planet that is a base. And I don't know, it's just it irks me. It irks me. But like visually, again, I'll say again, visually, I thought it looked great. And all I've seen the different kind of pilots as well. You had like different species of pilots now instead of just humans, which is pretty decent. Trying to think what else was there that was going on. I quite liked Hux as a whiny baby Imperial First Order officer. I thought he played it well, and especially his like kind of almost Nazi-esque speech, Hitler speech. I was gonna. The only thing that annoyed me of that whole after the space battle, after Han Solo dies, which was tragic. Leia hugs Rey and doesn't even bother, but Chewie just walks past her. Like, so sad. That's so annoying.
They kind of like tried to like improve on that in Rise of Skywalker when Chewie finds out that Leia's died and he gets pure raging at the end of that.
Nothing like sorting it after the fact.
I know.
When I seen it in cinema, I was like, that's really weird. Like, he just died and they're not even talking to each other.
Yeah.
Did you guys shed a tear when Han Solo died?
I don't think I cried, but I was
I think somebody spoiled it for me on Twitter. I think somebody spoiled it for me on the internet. You know, like when it first came out, people were like, hashtag Han Solo dies. I was like, what?
I had it ruined for me by a pupil at my old school.
Oh, got her. Did you detention them?
They may or may not get sent out that period for an unrelated reason.
I mean, you can't just talk about The Force Awakens and don't talk about Han Solo, dying. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive part of the film, and I don't think I expected it, to be honest with you.
I think it was the only reason Harrison Ford came back to do it was that he could get a good death scene.
Well, maybe. So I didn't really expect that to happen, to be honest with you. It was a shocking moment, but I don't cry at films usually, so I did not shed a tear.
There's a few other, although there's a couple of other scenes. There's like 2 or 3 scenes I think actually in 8 and 9 that I think are fantastic, which we'll come to. Just wanted to share a couple of the tweets. So the Muddy Dragon 3000 said he loved it. He loved the blend of old and new, been done really well. And he thought that J.J. Abrams was the perfect person to kick off the new trilogy. What else have we got? Views from the Nosebleeds says, I loved it personally. It's a fun film, good comedic moments, lent perfectly into the nostalgia while also creating good new characters. I'd agree with that. It was good seeing Leia, Han, etc. as well. What else have we got? Dissect That Turkey said, it's my favourite of the sequel trilogy, even though I feel all the entries in said trilogy are forgettable and dumb.
Is that Dissect That Film? They changed their name for Thanksgiving.
They must have done, yeah. And Strachan says, a brilliant setup for what turned out to be a pretty awful sequel trilogy. It's an interesting take. We'll see if we agree at the end. This movie gave the series so much potential. There's so much I could say about these movies. There's also a lot we're going to say as well. Craig from Wits of Script said, best of a bad bunch. Personally, I think that's a bit harsh, and I think you guys might agree. Some truly criminal writing and forced overuse of unwanted and unnecessary comedy for me. I really disagree on that one. We can come back to this. I thought the comedy was really good in this one, particularly BB-8 giving a thumbs up with a lighter, which is the GIF that was used. Visually stunning, but not enough to save it. But he says he's happy for other people to enjoy it, which is nice. The Geeky Dad podcast said, out of all the new trilogy, I like this one the best. It looks great. Diabolical evil schemes done something. Is it bad?
Done better, I think.
Done better. They really enjoyed it. Thought it set up an exciting new chapter. What's the script on their other account said the best of the new trilogy, but I remember bursting out laughing when they said just a bigger Death Star. I think the characters were laughing at that as well. So there's quite a lot of things. Chatsunami, it's his favorite of the three. And yeah, I didn't read them all because there was a lot, but I touched on every person that commented at least once there.
It seems to be a recurring theme, doesn't it? This one seems to be the most positive of the three.
Right, so we're going on to the most polarizing of the three.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
Sure, why not? It only goes downhill from here, boys.
This is my baby.
An ugly baby.
Right. Well, we start off. I think a good theme could be start off. Do we start off with things we liked, I think we start off with the things we didn't like in this one, personally.
Okay.
And then the things we liked, because personally, there's quite a lot that I'm not that keen on, but there's actually quite a few elements of this film that I really like. For me, it's polarizing even within myself, and I can't remember. James said he'd defend Big Trouble to the hilt. I'm going to defend aspects of this film to the hilt because there is bits I really, really love. James, what's your thoughts just overall on this one?
Overall, do you want to talk about the negative aspects first, or you want?
Just an over. Like I've said, I like lots of bits of it, but I also don't like lots of bits of it. So, what's your kind of thoughts?
I want to say they were thoroughly enjoyed actually this film. I didn't on the group chat. I didn't give anything away, man. You know what I mean? So I was watching it again, and I think you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I think from start to finish, it's just action packed. We've already built on the characters. We know what what they've done in the past and what they're going to try and aim towards. I thought that the effects were brilliant. I thought some scenes we were good. Some were questionable. I think there were some questionable scenes. Even though I thoroughly enjoyed it, there's still some questionable scenes in it, which I'll go into the negative aspects shortly. But overall, I think I'm not going to tell you what's my favourite or not, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's a hint, I think. Paul, what about yourself?
I can't stand this film, and I wouldn't piss on if it was on fire.
Surely you can't hate at all. Like,
I don't hate it all, but most of it, like, it's one of these films. It's like it looks good on the outside, but on the inside it's thick as mince. It's like one of these beauty pageants. You know what I mean? Like, good looking, but nothing up top. It's terrible.
James, should we get rid of him now?
Like, I know James is saying like it's action packed from start to finish, but the action is like nonsensical. Like, it's just so stupid, and it looks it looks good. Like, it makes for a compelling scene, but if you like take a step back and think about it, you're thinking, why is this happening?
I think this is the pompous Star Wars fan coming at you here, though.
No. Maybe.
Yeah,
I think maybe it's as an action movie fan. Like, like I can give away so much, but I don't know. Like, we'll talk about it in the negative aspects soon, but there's quite a few scenes where I'm like, this doesn't make sense, or a lot of the plot just feels like they're moving people about for no reason. Like, it doesn't make any sense in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, sorry.
Paul's been very negative, and that's his right. I think We should actually flip it and talk about the positives first. I'm going to start off by saying the scene with Luke and Yoda after the kind of burning of the tree is possibly in my top 5 scenes of all the films. I just absolutely loved that, the conversation, because Luke's so down, Yoda's just pretty chill. And there was a line that really stuck with me about, and as a teacher, it resonates as well, the whole, they are what we grow beyond. Or is that, I don't know if I misquoted that. But anyway, you know the bit I mean. I absolutely loved, and you didn't expect to see Yoda there. It was just Luke about to go and set fire, and then all of a sudden Yoda just appears, and best scene in the film for me, I would say. So that was just one I really liked.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. For you, James, what's your kind of?
I didn't expect Yoda at all, man. So when I seen him, it was like, oh, he's Yoda, the dancer. You know what I mean? It was a pleasant surprise. I think. I mean, this film. I think I don't know. It's divisive, isn't it? But towards the end of the film, even I don't know. It's my favourite bit of the film, but it's certainly for me, it's more memorable anyway. Is the bit where Luke's using the Force, and he's the battle we're in at the end. Now, I was just taking it for what it was. I don't know if you guys knew the fact that he wasn't there. It was just a projection.
I didn't when I first watched it. It was a surprise.
No, I mean,
to me.
No. So obviously, when the saber goes through him, you know, or even before that, even when they fire the guns at him, and he's still there, even though he should be, pulverized. I thought that scene was really good. The whole thing that when he died as well. I know that there's a lot of people who probably wouldn't like that scene because he probably deserved a kind of, I don't know, like a better word, a better death scene. Do you know what I mean? I think that was probably fitting for him to go that way.
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you, mate. I think it was a fitting way for him to go, because he knew if he did this, then it paved the way for the future.
I think people just wanted him to turn up, like in his own words, what am I going to do? Face down the whole First Order with a lightsaber, like he did it at the end of Mandalorian season 2. But to me, he used a force power we'd never seen, projected himself across the galaxy to save the Resistance, and then he passed away by looking into like the suns, like he looked in at the suns back in Tatooine. And I liked how like Rey and Leia sensed it, but they weren't sad. It was kind of like that whole "a life well lived." Like, you don't need to be sad; you can just celebrate the life that they had. And I think you always knew Luke was going to come back as a Force ghost, so it wasn't as sad as maybe a more mortal character's death. But yeah, I'm with you. I enjoyed that aspect of the film.
Aye.
Yeah, that's quite a polarizing aspect of the film, isn't it? Because a lot of people are like you are like, he used a power that nobody had seen. It showed how powerful he became, and was willing to sacrifice himself. But a lot of people, like you were saying, James, wanted to see him like in the thick of it and actually do something. So I think some people kind of felt cheated a wee bit by it, just because he didn't actually leave that wee island at all. That was him. But I'm kind of on the side of yous guys. Like, at the time in the cinema, I did feel a bit cheated by it. But the more you think about it, it is pretty cool.
Paul, but how easy would that have been for them just to have Luke just being a total badass the whole time? To me, do you know how we talked earlier about trying things?
Yeah.
But no, this didn't retcon anything or like contradict anything. It was just something new and different that I thought was really clever.
Yeah, it was just hard because I feel like throughout that whole movie, they didn't really do his character justice at all. So at the end up, I think maybe just the whole build-up of frustration from the whole movie, maybe that kind of stirred it a wee bit of people at the end. I don't know. because I feel like throughout the whole movie, it just wasn't. It was just making him out to be something he wasn't. I don't know.
I just feel like that ending wouldn't have been so powerful if he hadn't been so downtrodden at the start of the film. Like you saw him peeling back the layers of becoming himself again. See the scene when he goes in, which is one of the most emotional scenes in the film again, when he goes onto the Falcon and R2 plays the recording of Leia, and that's the first time you see him as the twinkle in his eye of Luke from the original trilogy. When he sees R2D2, he's like he's his guy. He's the guy who picks him back up again, and that's when he agrees to train Rey. So for me, it was a complete arc from the hermit at the end to the hero at the end of the film. I personally thought he had a great arc, and I'll die on that hill. Personally,
I don't know. I didn't enjoy it personally myself. I just thought there's a lot of weirdness, like the blue titty milk and all that. And
yeah, I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you on that. And when he's training Rey, the bit with the feather, he's like, is that the Force? Like the video I sent you as well. Like there's some weird bits, yes, I'm not disagreeing with that. But on a conceptual level, I thought he had a good arc across the film. And I think if he'd been like superhero Luke throughout the film, the ending doesn't work for me, personally. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Personally, I wasn't my cup of tea, but I just felt like we lost Han Solo in the first film, and we lost Luke in the second film. It's kind of like it's not going well.
I think that was I quite liked that they did that though. I think losing one of the big guns at each film. I think Leia, Carrie Fisher's passing obviously had a massive impact on the story as a whole. But I don't know. I quite liked Han and Luke's deaths. Not liked them as in enjoyed them, but I thought they were well done, both of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, it wasn't me. My cup of tea, like saying, but each to their own.
This would be quite boring if we all agreed, eh? What about the scene in the background we've got on the screen? I know Paul's going to point out there's like an error in this scene at some point, but it's one of my favorite action set pieces in probably all the films. I really enjoyed the Praetorian Guards battle.
Yeah, how good does it look, man? It does look good. Like I know you're saying like I'm going to say there's a mistake in it, but like this scene that I could watch, I actually like this scene. This is one of the high points of the movie for me. I just think it's like a really cool fight. Like the only thing I think after it came out, I'd watched a YouTube video. They talk about SFX, but it had a stuntman on, and they're talking about this scene, and he like picked it apart like forensically, and he could see people had mistimed a step, or they'd held back when they should have been like striking and stuff like that. They missed their beat and all that, which like at the time I couldn't tell you that was just going on.
I just don't understand why you'd want to do that. Like, see, if I'm more of the view, if I enjoy something, I'll just enjoy watching it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, it was actually just a special effects video I was watching just because they were quite funny. And then they had the stuntman on, and they just deep dived into the scene, which was when I told you about that. Yeah, I like this scene. Like, I don't mind this at all. Like, because a couple of stuntmen didn't hit their marks, like it still looks really great, and there's still a lot of good moves and a lot of things you don't see in Star Wars before, like when they're like flipping lightsabers on and off.
I like when Rey drops the saber and then goes down and grabs it and swoops like that. But by the way, I just had a great idea. I'm not even joking about this one. We should go to Skellig Michael because you can get a boat out to it. How cool would that be?
I get seasick. But
can we agree that Acto's one of the most visually stunning locations in Star Wars?
Yeah, it's nice for a desolate, windy Scottish-looking rock.
My favourite shot in the film is the aerial shot of the island. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What?
The camera's just going right over the top of it.
Oh, right.
I take it as your favourite planet in this movie.
In this movie?
Because you obviously got this, you got Canto Bight, you got Crate.
Yeah, this would be my favourite. out of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jamesy boy? What was your favourite kind of setting?
I think. Well, setting. I don't know, man. I can't
Or
really
planet?
planet. I don't know. To be honest with you. Come back to me on that one. What's yours?
Mine was probably Crate. I think just because the kind of white with the red underneath, I thought made for an interesting concept. I thought it just looked really cool, and it was like almost like kind of poster art was all like red, and the red dust and all that. So I thought in the battles when like all the blasters were hitting it and stuff, I thought it just looked really cool. So
I
Crate.
suppose I'll go with that then. It is visually kind
Striking.
of aye,
They went,
striking.
they went to a lot of pains to show that it wasn't Hoth when I think it's the Rogue One director, isn't it? Gareth Edwards. He's in the trenches.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, salt. It's like, did you have to do that? Like, could we not just read that in a book somewhere that it was salt?
I know. I think we could tell it's not snow anyway when it's red underneath it.
Yeah. I really liked the end of the film. I liked
me too, the credits.
Well, we'll get to your time to shine, but I liked the bit where Poe, who we've not actually talked about much, Poe discovers that like Luke's stalling for time, and then they're kind of following the Crystal Foxes, and they're following their way out, and obviously Rey's lifting rocks on the other side, and I really liked Luke's bit where he's like, "Amazing, everything you just said was wrong," and he says, like the war's just beginning. I will not be the last Jedi. I like that whole bit as well. I'm a big fan of like motivational speeches. Like see, Jyn Erso's in Rogue One when she's getting them all up for the battle, and then Poe gives a speech at the end of Rise of Skywalker as well. I like a rousing speech. I'm a fan of rousing speeches. I guess that's for purpose.
Poe was going to be the character that I was going to introduce, but I gave you Kylo Ren instead.
I actually forgot to do one for the first film, so yeah, I ruined it anyway.
We'll just leave that. But
we'll talk about Poe.
I like Poe Dameron, man. I thought he was a good character. I'm going to just kind of highlight some of the comedic bits in this film. I didn't like.
Oh yeah, I didn't like some.
In particular, the one where he's talking to General Hux, and he keeps on calling him Hugs. Hugs. It just went on far too long for me, man. I was like, "Oh, she's going to shut up now." It's just.
Then it's ended up a Yo Mama joke.
It's like, come on, just so that part, I didn't like that part anyway. But in general, Poe Dameron, I think, was a good character, man. I thought he was his kind of building up to him at the end of the Rise of Skywalker after Leia passing was quite fitting, I think. I know we're still in Last Jedi, but
do you think he was? I liked him as well, but do you think he was just pretty much Han Solo reincarnated again, wasn't he? In a lot of ways.
I think so. I mean, I think probably have to have a character like that. Don't I mean? So nothing wrong with that. It's probably again where Star Wars fans might disagree with me here, but I think having a character like that brings, even though I've just kind of contradicted myself about the humour, but just small doses, and then being at the same time have an impact on all the characters. Getting them, up for the battle and things like that, and just saying the right thing at the right time. I think for him, his character, he was good with Finn in Force Awakens. He kind of built up that kind of bromance with Finn.
Yeah, a romance.
There's
a lot of speculation about that.
I thought initially maybe there's a bit of jealousy with they two with Rey, but then I realised maybe it's no. It's just kind of possibly a bromance/romance. I don't know.
Do you know how Poe crashes, but then comes back later in Force Awakens? They were originally going to kill him off, but then I can't remember why. I think just they really liked Oscar Isaac's performance, so then they brought him back. So I'm glad they brought him back, I must admit.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's good. He's a charming fella.
See, in terms of humour, there's something I noticed in this film. I thought Finn's humour was really good in the first one. I thought the humour in general was really good in the first one. But did you notice this? Finn just starts making like weird facial expressions like people would in the real world. There was a scene where, do you know how they're going to find the code breaker goose chase? And Maz Kanata's on the video camera saying, "Oh, he knows how to do everything," like making like a kind of a joke if she's been with him. And Finn just does this face like this. He's like, "You need to look at my face for it." It's like, I can't really do the face, but he does this weird thing where he's. Did you notice it, James? You watched him quite recently. He does like kind of weird facial expressions when there's like a kind of innuendo made. I don't know if you noticed it. Finn.
Aye,
He just does like weird faces quite a lot.
It does. I find he pulls weird faces. Just in general, to be honest with you, I don't know, man. I think it kind of goes back. Like, I don't know if it's maybe a link to this or no. I don't know, but I agree with Paul. I think through the films, was it you said it, Paul? Can't remember, but was it yourself, Colin? I don't know. Can't remember now. It was someone said that he becomes more and more. Was it arrogant? Or
That's
maybe
cocky and snarky.
I think maybe it's like he's starting to know too much. He's like, nah, pal, you're just in it for a film. Do you know what I mean? Just calm down a wee bit. I just don't know, and I don't know if the cockiness comes across with facial expressions, with innuendos and that. What you're saying. Aye, but I just find that he pulls their faces quite regular. And as soon as you said pulls faces, I was like, aye, definitely. It's like, no.
I felt a bit sorry for like how much did Rose get friend zoned at the end of this film, by the
way. Oh man.
Did you get the impression that Finn was romantic? I think he probably was. Finn was like in love with Ray, by and large, or do you think it was more of a friendship?
Well, in the Force Awakens, is like you got a boyfriend, so he's
cute boyfriend, cute boyfriend. I know, but
no,
over time, it might become more friend-like. But I feel like there was a wee bit of a romantic connection there from Finn's side.
I think so for Finn's side, because he said he wanted to tell Ray something. Was it Last Jedi? He said that. I can't remember.
No, that was in Rise of Skywalker.
Aye. I suppose we'll come to that, but I think it did become more of a maybe he's in love with or something. I don't know. Maybe not as strong as that, but
it was just a weird choice to have Finn and Rose go off. He's always pining after Ray, and then Rose got so much hatred from the fans, including the actress, which was harsh because she was just doing what she was told. But see, at the start of Rise of Skywalker, it's like they're going on a mission, and then Rose comes up, and it's like, "Oh yeah, I need to stay and fix this," or whatever it is. And they just
I need to study the maps or something. It's like you've been relegated to doing nothing this movie because everyone hates you.
Surely it would be less awkward if they just didn't have her in it than just have that scene.
I don't know, man. It was really weirdly handled, like saying like passing the baton from different movie to different director. I don't know. It feels like they just had a plan for one movie, and then they were like, "We'll just see what happens and make it up along the way." And then this movie, they just took all the ideas at the Force Awakens and just thought, "You know what? I don't like that. Wrap that up, and we're just going to run with whatever we want to do."
Well, there's one more thing off the top of my head that I really liked, and then Paul can tear it to shreds. I really liked Ray and Ren, and it happened in the 9th film as well. They were having like kind of what was it like? It was kind of like visions, but there was a physical aspect to it. Like they could hold hands or they could like exchange objects. I thought that was a really cool use of the Force, and I thought the scenes between them were really good.
It was good. It kind of bringing the relationship close, didn't it? In terms of like learning about her family, and she wanted to know more. So every time that happened, it was as if like it was a kind of wee teaser for what's going to happen later on, and I think it was important. So I enjoyed that aspect as well. And then when Luke came in, seen it happen, he wasn't very pleased at all. about that, obviously. Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing before Paul tells us the shreds? It's probably going to be a good thing because there's one particular thing I didn't like about this film,
The
and
space chase.
Paul might even mention it. It's the bit where Leia flies through space. I just
Don't get me started.
I just thought, what is happening?
It's Mary Poppins, y'all.
So that one that really annoyed me actually. It annoyed me more than General Hugs, to be honest with you. I thought there's no need for that at all, man.
I've got one last thing, but I'm going to let Paul, because I'll just keep adding them. So, Paul, tear it to shreds, go. What'd you hate?
I never even got to say positive about this film. What happened?
Yeah, you did. You said you liked the Praetorian Guard. You said
Oh, did I?
nothing else positive, yeah.
Like again, like see after I came out of the movie, I was like, you know, that's pretty decent. I enjoyed that. It was good. It was good action. Like, I think I was blinded by like not how good the action was, but just like how over the top it was. And then when I thought about it, I was like, what was that? Like, so the opening scene, like James was talking about with like Hux and Poe Dameron and that, just fair enough. But then they have like a squadron of bombers, which like fly so slow.
I've heard you moan about this one before.
It's so stupid. It's like the equivalent of like our like in real life. It's like, say, an aircraft carrier, and then there's a bunch of hot air balloons floating towards it with bombs, and it's like there's no chance. Like, and I know it looked cool at the time. Like, it was made for like a spectacular opening, but at the same time, like, why would the Resistance have these things that just float through space? Basically, they're terrible bombers. Like, they used to have Y-wings. What happened to them? Like, they like these overpowered bombers, but now they've got like absolutely naff all. Did they get blown up in The Force Awakens?
They do have like the Resistance do always go on about having. I'm not defending it, but they have like older tech. Like they're quite strapped for cash.
Yeah, but even that, man, like they were like, I know Rian Johnson was going for like a Battle of Britain kind of vibe, but like I was saying, like they were hot air balloons basically going towards the aircraft carrier. They would have got shot down like way before anything. That was kind of the worst bit for, not the worst bit, but I think when I look back at it, it annoys me the most. And then like the stuff with Canto Bite, like I feel they're just doing that to shove Finn and Rose like out the way for a bit on a wee side quest that didn't end up making much of a difference. In this film, Captain Phasma was wasted. Like, she was in The Force Awakens, looked cool. Came back in this, got killed off pretty quick.
Gwendoline Christie as well.
Yeah. Is it in this, or is it deleted scenes where Finn calls her like Chrome Dome?
I think it's in the film.
In the theatrical version, yeah. I was like, would somebody in Star Wars say Chrome Dome?
Can I just add, Paul? I get what you mean about the whole going to find the Master Codebreaker just seemed like plot for the sake of plot. But I quite liked Canto Bite as a location. I thought it was quite cool seeing the casino with all the different features. I quite liked the setting, not necessarily the part of the film.
Yeah, but if you took all that out, then you know it's not really like. Do you need it? Probably not.
Do you know what other role Mark Hamill played in that film?
Was he the wee thing?
He's the big guy with the monocle that was putting the coins in BB-8. Mark Hamill did the voice.
Oh, okay. I think I knew that.
Well, I think Colin's away.
Oh, he's frozen. Oh, well, just me and you.
Look at recording.
Look at the course.
So there was that. Like you're saying, like Leia flying through space was just like, the fuck is going on here? Like, why?
What is with this language?
Admiral Akbar got killed off, and he just got a wee kind of side comment, just like, oh, he died. Everyone, all the top command died, including Admiral Akbar. He was like one of the heroes of Return of the Jedi. Whole plot of Holdo and Poe, like there kind of be mini mutiny, and then it was just like it just felt so unnecessary. Like,
Mhm.
surely they've got autopilot for these things instead of like sacrificing all their captains and the admirals and stuff like that. But
I still don't really understand what the plan was there. I must admit.
yeah, and like, see that whole like basically this whole movie is just like one big space chase, but it's a slow moving car getting chased by like big rigs, and I'm just trying to real world this, and so they just chase him, and I'm like, why doesn't somebody just skip ahead in front of them and cut him off? But instead, they're like, "Oh, we'll follow him for like hours at a time, just shooting for no reason." I just felt it was so boring. Like, I don't know, but
I think
you
if
know what
this
I mean.
film
It's,
was all if this film was all Luke, Ray, and Ren and the Praetorian Guards, I agree with you. I don't really like the other side of the film, like Poe's. I like Poe, but not Poe's side of the film.
yeah, I just felt like it was really like drawn out and unnecessary. Like, a lot of that stuff didn't need to happen. Like, and then they used the Holdo maneuver where they rattle through like an entire fleet, and then in the next movie, like, oh, that was all at 1 in a million. You can't do that again.
Hmm.
But we'll get to that in the next movie.
What did you think of Snook's death scene?
Exactly that as well. That was a waste. Like, I
Did
was
you say?
shocked at the time in
Did you say
cinema.
Snook?
Snooky.
No, so that's it, Snook. Snook.
Jamesy boy's getting tired.
Aye.
I like, see in cinema. I was kind of shocked. I was like, "Whoa, no way!" And then after it, I was kind of like, "He was really cool." Like, oh, why did they just kill him off like so quickly? Like, and then it
Because
just
he's
turned out to be
worthless.
it was exactly. So
But
all that
I did like the death scene though.
it was good. It was good. Like, because where he's trying to read Kylo Ren's mind, or he's reading Kylo Ren's mind, but he's kind of twisting it in his head so he can manipulate the lightsaber.
Aye.
And kills his true enemy. I've got a quote, by the way, for when Paul swears in the podcast now. Sacred language, sacred island. Watch the language. Luke says it to R2D2 at some point when he swears.
Did he swear there, aye?
No, not there. But earlier on, I was taking notes.
All right.
Ah, shit.
Did you watch your pod for that back for last week?
Which one?
Big Trouble.
Yeah, I've watched like 80% of it. I've watched like the start and the end and like most of the middle.
Aye, so you'll know then for watching it. It's a pretty clean podcast.
Yes. Right. Is there any? I'm trying to think if there's anything else just in this one before we jump on to the last one, because this is going to be an epic podcast lengthwise. Is there any final thoughts on this one?
Negatory.
Nothing good.
I've got one actually. Why did Hux start to look like a vampire from 8 onwards? Do you think he went really pasty? Like, he wasn't that pale. He just kind of like styled himself like a vampire in 8 onwards.
He's a ginger man in space. What do you expect?
I know he didn't look that pale in the first one. I don't know. He just looked
he did seem to get worse as the films progressed.
Maybe he was getting ill, possibly.
He was just a bit stressed.
I'll get one more thing. Would you make it Laura Dunn's character?
I don't like her.
No, yeah.
Yeah, again, another waste. And it's just another thing where if she just talked to someone, if she just explained to anyone what was going on, then everything could have been avoided. It's just so stupid.
I know, it just seemed like a lot, didn't it?
That part of the film wasn't good, but I still stand by. I like the Luke stuff. I like the Rey and Ren stuff. I liked seeing Yoda. I liked the Praetorian Guards, and I liked Luke's kind of final battle of sorts. So I did like all that stuff. I didn't like the space chases. I didn't like the humor in this one, and I didn't like the kind of Poe and Holdo stuff. So yeah.
But did you like the battle on Crate?
Yeah, I quite liked them using like the old rickety machines and stuff. And
do you think
more?
Do you think Finn should have been allowed to sacrifice himself rather than getting saved?
Yes and no. I did grow quite attached to. I think you realise Do you know it's like? See the end of a film. Do you know? I think you realize you care about the characters when they're about to die. Like in that moment, you're like, I don't want them to die. I didn't want them to die, but I think it would have been a good death scene.
I think personally should have went. I was kind of hoping we did.
Aye, because for what you get in the third movie, Amy as well just got bumped up in this film. But like I was saying, like like nothing makes sense in this film because you see him speeding towards that, and Rose is nowhere to be seen, and then she just comes out of left field, wipes him out, and then they're right in front of all the walkers, and then somehow they manage to make it back to the base without getting blasted by all these walkers that are about like 50 meters away or something.
That annoyed me as well. To be fair, I just wish Finn sacrificed himself, and then
aye. There's a degradation in his character. Like,
But then he couldn't become a Jedi in the Lego special.
Is that what happens? Is it?
Yeah, and the Christmas one, which I'll need to watch soon. Actually, that's part of my rotation. Yeah, that's what he wanted to tell Rey, by the way, because you see it in Rise of Skywalker. He like senses when she dies and things like that. So that's what he wanted to tell her, that he was force sensitive.
Oh, I thought it was because he loved her, but never mind.
No, it was sensitive. But I just thought I'd share a couple of tweets about Last Jedi before we go into the last one. So Chat Tsunami says, visually it looks amazing. Plot-wise, it's one of the worst because it wants to be its own thing rather than part of a trilogy. There was quite a lot of mess in terms of the directors. Craig from What's the Script says, it's a visual masterpiece. Some of the shots are jaw-dropping, bettered probably only by those in Rise of Skywalker. So Craig seems quite keen on aspects of it. But he said the plot and pacing is a bag of cats. And what else have we got? But then What's the Script's main one? So the first one was Craig. Says it's absolutely tragic. Had it not been a midnight screening, an hour's drive from home, I'd have walked out after Leia's Superman through space. To see Luke as he was completely destroyed the character before he then fainted to death. I disagree with that second part, as we've discussed. Me and James liked Luke's arc.
Definitely.
Paul didn't. And then Kenneth...
No, Paul agreed.
Paul did agree?
I said I didn't mind that. Yeah.
I'm just used to Paul disagreeing. And Kenneth Sweeney said...
Sorry.
Kenneth Sweeney said, oh, that was awful. There's nothing redeeming about it. I said, really? Nothing at all? He said, nope. It was ridiculous. I was laughing for most of it. Then he said, search your feelings, you know it to be true. Then I told him to listen to the episode to hear what we liked and didn't like. And he said, will do. So thank you, Kenneth Sweeney. Oh, and oh no, sorry, the next one's about Rise of Skywalker, so we'll get to that. What were you saying, James?
I don't know, can't remember now.
Right,
we're Seismic Stars then, we're giving this.
Oh, lucky you're here, I forgot about that.
That's why we brought him on.
Who went first time? Paul?
Paul went first.
James, you want to go first this time?
Right, okay, I'm going to give it a 7.5. So I thought it was better than Force Awakens, personally. I just think, I know there's going to be a lot of people pissed off. I just think it's visually better. I think there was a lot more action in it, even though Paul doesn't make sense. For me, I enjoyed it. I really liked the scene at the end with Luke Skywalker. Some of the interactions with Rey and Luke were nice. And obviously the battle that we spoke about with the guards. That whole fight scene, that whole fight scene was brilliant, man. So yeah, I'm going to get 7.5, mate.
That's a scene I wish I'd mentioned. Was the Luke and Leia one? What I'm confused about though, do you know how he was like a hologram? He kissed her on the head. Did she feel anything, or do you think she didn't feel anything and she twigged what was happening? Because I was looking out for that when I watched that scene.
I think she must have knew that he was.
Because she does the same maneuver, does she not? In a sense, to like reach out to Ren in Rise of Skywalker, like when she dies. Yeah, I think that's why she dies. But that's a tearjerker and a half. See when they see each other and then he kisses her on the head and says, "No one's ever really gone," which I think is a really nice quote. And then C-3PO sees him and goes, "Master Luke." That was a really nice moment as well. So I thought there were some nice wee bits in there.
Well, no, definitely.
I'll go. Oh, I don't really know because it's a real mixed bag. If I was rating the highest highs, it'd be really high, but then there's lows. I'll probably go 7 because, as I've mentioned, there's a lot I love, but there's a lot I don't love. I can't go as low as 6 because I love the things I love too much, but I can't go higher than 7 because of the things I don't like. So 7.
Roger.
Fair enough. I'm going to go 3.5.
Oh, come on.
Seriously?
Aye, like
You don't have a heart. Confirmed.
look, see when you don't like half the movie, right? So that's half points off because half the movie is just doesn't make sense and it's boring, right? So that's half your marks off. Give a point for the Praetorian Guard fight, 2 points for the actual visual effects because they were pretty nice. They're really good. And then half point because I'm generous. I don't know. It's just like I know. Like
I get what you mean. It's like if you liked some of the, like some people like the Luke. I think more don't like the Luke arc than do, but I think you have to like the initial concept.
Yeah,
I mean,
which I
really hard.
I don't like seeing that scene where he just throws a lightsaber away. I'm just kind of like they built all that up for like a comedic moment. I was like,
what did you want Luke to be like then? Like what would have satisfied you there?
I don't know, just not like I don't know, just not like what it was. Just not grumpy.
Have you got something better?
I don't know, maybe just a bit wiser, but maybe a bit more open to like talking about things. Maybe because he knows he's made some bad decisions in his life, so why keep it all bottled up and thingy? Why not just talk about it and like teach her not to do the same stuff that he's done? Whereas he's just been a dick.
No, I get that. No, I can see what you're saying there. I still don't think he should have just been exactly the same.
I think he should be the same.
Problems,
but
yeah.
I think he should have been a bit like maybe he's learned from his mistakes and try to teach other people from his mistakes rather than just being shut off. And like she's obviously came a long way. He's looking to try to help his sister, and he's just like, "I'm good. I'm just going to drink my teddy milk."
Yeah,
That was a good scene.
A lot of people like the bit about him, like considering killing his nephew. Yeah, I think it's maybe not the best writing decision, but Luke did consider for a second, like, or he was like smashing his dad to bits, and then he stopped, looked at his metal hand, and realized he didn't want to go down that route. So, but kind of unreliable narrator. I quite liked how that scene there was like 3 different variations of it from different people's points of view. So we do like what is the true version? Do you know what I mean? Like Ben's recollection and Luke's were really different.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the way I feel about it. Like I said, like see if I'd rated this when I got out of the cinema, like straight away, I'd probably been like 8, 9 out of 10. But
I was with you as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Glasgow.
like, I'm just a stickler. I don't know, like I know, like logic wise, none of these movies make sense. Like it's all just fantasy, but I like it when things make sense, like physically. Like in Rogue One, in the space battles, like they do things and it has like a cause and an effect, and it makes sense. Whereas this one, it seems to be they're doing things just to look good and it doesn't make sense, and that's what annoys me. I think it's not as a Star Wars fan. I think it's just as an action movie fan that annoys me. Like it does look good, but I'm just like, would you really be doing that? Probably not. You know what I mean? But that's just me.
Right. Let's move on to the last of the trilogy.
Just no.
Feeling this won't be the longest discussion compared to the other ones, but you never know. We'll see how it goes. This is on course to be our longest ever podcast. You're right.
All right.
What was
Right,
the longest?
so-
Black Mirror?
Black Mirror, I think. Aye.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot longer. Not a lot longer. We'll try and not go too long on this one. But right, where do we start here? This is the one I'm least defensive of out of the three.
Oh, interesting.
It's not
Well-
really that interesting. You knew I liked The Last Jedi and you knew I liked Force Awakens. So
I don't know. I thought you might like this as well.
Can I just like literally just one thing? As an independent sci-fi movie, if you didn't know anything about Star Wars, you could sit and quite enjoy this film, and I think you can sit and watch it and relatively enjoy it. Fast paced, lots of action, but as a Star Wars film, it has, and you can't ruin Palpatine because he's that iconic, but he was ruined in this movie. Not overall, but he was ruined in this movie. So yeah, I think it's a decent action film, but not a great Star Wars film at all.
Yeah, like I know it'll be different for you guys because you just quite like the last film, but from The Last Jedi to this, it felt like they were trying to put it out a dumpster fire by pouring some more smelly garbage on it. Yeah, I felt like a lot of this movie was just trying to put out the fires of the previous movie. I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I felt like, you know, we're talking about Rose. Like, I think they felt the backlash from The Last Jedi, from that kind of forced romance kind of thing. And they're like, you know what the fans would be happy about? We'll just relegate her to looking at maps and take her out the whole main plot. They'll like that kind of thing. And it just felt like through the whole movie they were trying to do daffy things to appease fan servicey things, but it didn't really work for me.
Giving Chewbacca the medal he was owed from A New Hope.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of times in this movie where it was just cheap, like cheap shots. Like the scene where Rey force lightnings the transport and she thinks Chewie's on it, and it was all like, Jesus, like Chewie's dead, like as if it was that big shock. And then like a scene or two later, you see Chewie alive and well, so it's kind of like a cheap shot. Like, there wasn't really any suspense in it, and you didn't really think about it too much because you actually think he's dead, and then he's alive 2 seconds later. You don't really feel like that was impactful at all. And it just felt like a cheap kind of dig. But there's a few moments like this movie. But anyway, I'm getting really negative, so you can kind of.
I wouldn't have minded the Chewbacca fake out because, let's be honest, Chewbacca's one of those universally loved Star Wars characters. Did anyone really want Chewbacca to die? I didn't, personally.
No.
But when they did it with C-3PO as well, like they wiped his memory, then R2's like, here's your memories back. I think one of them should have stuck, probably 3PO. And I think doing it, the fake out twice in one movie really hurt the film in terms of stakes.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Both fake outs, they were just like, oh, there's a big jeopardy in this. And then like 2 seconds later, it was like,
I know.
oh, that's fine. It's all good.
And you're half happy because like 3PO can be a bit annoying, but he's still one of the OGs.
Yeah, by the way, see when that scene when he's like, oh, what are you looking at? And he's like, oh, just my friends. Fuck off. They're not your friends.
Yeah.
All your friends have just died in the last 2 films, and you've got
I
one
know.
friend. Liar.
Did you ever hear the thing? It was like Star Wars is just a story of 3 generations of people bullying C-3PO.
Oh,
Which is true because Poe treats them the exact same way that Han does.
To be fair, he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Sorry, James.
I'm just going to say that I don't think anyone believed Chewie died on that ship. I mean, I watched it when I first watched it. I'm going, no, he's no god, man. I mean, I just knew he would appear somewhere, or there was some sort of twist that he'd be there. And I don't think the grieving for Chewie at that moment in time was believable either.
Don't think you can kill him off air either, like off scene, off camera.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I agree with you as well. That one of them should have stuck in terms of the fake outs. I was all prepared for the C3PO one. Do you know what I mean? And already said that that R2D2's his memory storage isn't up to much. So there'd be no chance of save these memories, and it did. You know what I mean? So I think C3PO should have definitely had his memory wiped after doing the Sith translation. And also, I agree with you, Paul, mate, that they're not his friends, man. He just bloody met them. I'm going to swear that, Paul, but I kept it back. He just met them. You know what I mean?
Sacred Island, watch the language.
So, aye, that was crap. That bit.
I'd accepted if he just went, who are you looking at? Like, oh, just my associates.
Right. Let's dial back a bit. Let's dial back a bit. I think it worked quite well talking about the things we liked and then things we didn't like. And I think with this one, I think we need to start with things that we liked, what things we liked, because there's less of them for me than in the other two films, but there's still things that stands out. So, Paul, is there anything you liked about this film? Sorry, Paul, what things did you like about this film?
I liked let's say the visuals again were really good for this movie. I like the kind of vibrancy of the festival that they went to on the planet. Like that. It was a kind of nice wee change of pace from the kind of dull mechanical settings of like the Star Destroyers and stuff. So I quite like that. I like Kerry Russell's character. What was her name again? Zora.
Zori Bliss.
Zori.
I only remembered that really because I just watched it like earlier today.
I quite liked her character. I'd like to see more of her character, but I thought she was.
Do you think she was like a? Do you think she was like a Power Ranger?
Oh, you bet. Aye. Maybe that's why I liked her. And then after that, I guess a bit kind of thin on the ground. What did I like? You need to come back to me on that one because I need to think. I need to troll through my brain of what was enjoyable. I might get more once you talk about it.
Yeah. What about you, James?
I liked when you first seen Lando come back.
Oh, yes.
That was like, yes. So I enjoyed the reintroduction of Lando. Also liked I liked it and I did like it. See at the end and they're celebrating and all that. I think that was quite nice. But I think it went too long, personally. It was like it felt like 10 minutes of just pure celebration that we've defeated the First Order, man. Oh, and
it just felt like a not very good copy and paste of the Endor celebrations, didn't it? Because it was in the trees as well.
Aye, that's true. It's
nice to see the Ewoks though.
I liked the bit where Han Solo came back.
Yes,
it was Ben's memory, and then that was the moment he turned and he was going to kill Palpatine.
Yeah, that was cool to be fair, and like the whole visual of that whole like the water and that splashing over as well. I just thought that was a really good scene. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, James.
Just before it, that was the fight. And they were like flipping over the what was coming. They were flipping over the I think that was good visually too. But then just after that, when Han Solo appeared and it was his memory, he threw away the lightsaber, and then that was him. It was Ben, and then so that was a good moment, I think,
because it was the exact like inverse of the scene from Force Awakens where he's like, I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I can do it. And this time he makes a different decision. It was pretty tragic, I think. This is more skipping to the end, but I think they should have kept Rey dead. Not because I don't dislike her, but I think Ben had such a short spell of being Ben Solo on the screen. We had literally like 10 minutes, if that. I'd love to have seen a lot more of Ben Solo as a character.
What did you think of Raylo at the end?
Awkward.
That wasn't really needed, was it?
No, it was forced, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, forced.
For a couple of people who've been trying to kill each other for the past 2.5 movies, then
I don't know. There was always like, I think when he was being Ben, there was a connection, but then when he was being Kylo, like I think there was a bit like the Anakin Vader. There was like kind of two sides to him.
I know, but God bless her, man. She'll look over a lot of flaws.
I liked
just to push that button for mass genocide on several planets from Starkiller Base, but you know, he's a wee wench.
I didn't like a lot of the end, but I quite liked, because see, if you watch it on Disney Plus, it tells you who all the Jedi that are speaking to her are, and you get like Kanan from Rebels, you get like Ayla Secura that gets taken down in Felucia, you get Mace Windu, Ahsoka. I like that. Originally, there was meant to be Force Ghosts, like Force Ghost, Qui-Gon, etc., instead of just the voice. But I kind of think the voices work better, maybe, instead of seeing loads of random faces.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Does that mean Ahsoka's dead?
I wouldn't. Ahsoka's good at jumping back and forward between being dead and alive, so I wouldn't read too much into that.
I think it works personally with the voices, because I think if it was the other faces as the Force Ghost, I think that there'd be too much complaint. They'd be complaining about that as well, mate. I think so. I think the actual voices quite quickly as well. It was quite. So I think that worked better for me.
I think I maybe caught 2, possibly 3 of them, but when you actually watch it on Disney Plus, there was about more than 10 of them talking. So
I watch all my films and TV shows with subtitles on.
Me too.
So do I.
So
we could do an episode on that, the benefits of subtitles.
Is this specific after bad hearing, to be fair, man? So I just kind of I've just used to it.
It's becoming like, I did absolutely love that Han Solo scene. Oh, another scene before we get onto the many negatives of this one is Luke is the Force Ghost, where he catches the lightsaber and pulls the X-Wing out of the swamp. I don't understand, though, how the X-Wing, after being in the water for that long, is good to go right away. I thought it maybe need to dry out for a bit or get some TLC.
Waterproof, you know, waterproof. Up to 2 meters.
It was I liked that scene, and I liked when eventually I got a wee bit of it. Although I didn't like the story of this film, I got a wee like chill when all the other ships arrive and there's suddenly loads of them, and it's like, and I really liked Lando's speech to Poe about how they survived. We had each other. Like, I thought that scene was really emotional just after Leia died as well. So I think the legacy characters were all used pretty well. Han, Luke, Leia as best she could based on the circumstances.
Yeah,
I still don't understand how she was, because I thought she died. She died just before Rogue One came out. So I assumed they'd already filmed Last Jedi, and then they just used like segments of her stuff from the first 2 and the third one.
I think something like that happened.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better if they just killed her off in Last Jedi, when she got blown out the ship instead of doing that scene and making it a bit weird.
I thought it was quite cool that we find out that she was a Jedi, although when we seen her in Force Awakens, you never would have guessed that she'd actually trained as a Jedi. So I don't know if it seemed a bit shoehorned in.
I don't know. Just that's by the by, I think. See, you're talking about legacy characters, like just a wee stupid one, but like see Lando towards the end when he's talking to was it an ex-stormtrooper or something?
That's right.
It kind of alludes to her being his daughter or something, doesn't it?
I think it was confirmed that it is.
Right. But see, that whole exchange does not come across a wee bit creepy as if he's chatting her up.
Wee bit.
I think so. I'll give you that.
I think
this film. Find out.
I think this film had a lot of Do you think it had a lot of abandoned ideas? There was that, which I think was meant to be bigger. There was what Finn wanted to tell Rey, which is never actually revealed. It's just kind of hinted at. There was like Hux as a spy, which was quite underwhelming. I just felt that there was quite a lot of things that they kind of... And the new Imperial guy, who's quite a well-known actor, is it Richard E. Grant?
Yes,
General
I thought he was really good.
He wasn't really developed much either, I don't think.
I thought it was all right, actually. I disagree with that.
I think he was... We could have seen more of him. Like, it'd have been good to have seen more of him, maybe.
And he obviously killed General Hughes. He was a spy. I thought that bit was a bit naff as well, to be honest with you. That he was just a spy. I didn't particularly like that bit. I'm glad he was shot. He died anyway. But no, it's... sorry, may I continue?
Will we talk about Palpatine now? How much did you hate it? I hated it. The whole thing, from start to finish.
I don't know why. I don't know why they felt the need to do that. To be honest with you,
he's one of the most iconic villains of all time, and that was just... He just looked weird as well the whole time, and like, I can't wait for my granddaughter to come home.
It was good seeing the actor again. It was pretty cool seeing him for like nostalgia wise, but it didn't make sense at all. And like, see when he uses his lightning, can you not turn it off? Like, because that's 3 films where he's been frying somebody. They shot it back at him, and then he's just like, I
just don't understand what he's wanting to achieve. Because one minute he wants Rey to like become the Empress, and then when she fights back, he's like, "I'll just kill you." Then like, I wasn't really sure what he was trying to achieve. What his goal was.
My interpretation was that he was going to let her kill him, and by doing that, he was trying to use, obviously, he goading her into try to kill him, by saying these things. And
was he going to take over her body? Is that what was going to happen? I thought that was going to happen. Like his spirit was going to take over Rey. I thought I could just be making it up. I can't remember the film.
I'm not sure, mate, to be honest with you. I just thought that, and then when she goes to kill him, he's defending himself, and then obviously that's when she puts the lightsaber away, and then that's when Ben comes in. I thought that scene was pretty good. No, because she gave him because that was through the Force.
Yeah, I like that.
He took the saber, and then he got away from the who was he fighting again?
The Knights of the Ren.
Knights of the Ren. That's what it was. So
another cool forgotten about character. I don't know. The whole... I know it's became a meme, but the whole somehow Palpatine returned, and then he uses the really cool line from Revenge of the Sith, like, what is it? The dark side of the Force is a pathway. That one. I really wanted to love it, and I was really looking forward to Rise of Skywalker based on the trailers, because they used Palpatine in that, but it was just a dumpster fire, really, wasn't it? The whole Palpatine angle. I didn't like the last battle at all, because it was the same year that Endgame came out, wasn't it? And they just totally like redid the whole Iron Man Thanos bit. Like, I am all the Sith, I am all the Jedi. That bit's just horrific.
It was just, I don't know. Everything just felt really lazy. I remember coming out this film and, like, I was saying, like, I love the movies. I remember tweeting up at my Facebook or something. I remember saying, like, this movie's good if you just turn your brain off and don't think it's just a Star Wars movie. It's just because, like, it just throws everything under the bus, like, of what's been built before, even more than The Last Jedi, and it's, I don't know, it just feels like it's trying to correct too many things and not being its own thing, doesn't go in its own direction, and just leaves the whole kind of Star Wars story on a sour note.
Oh, yeah. I fell asleep during it, actually, rewatching it.
Right, we need to talk about how does the Death Star get exploded into tiny pieces and then a large chunk of it lands on Endor?
It's a good question.
And
Very
who made
large.
that? And who made the wonderfully crafted knife to point you in the exact location?
How would you know where to stand in the first place?
It's just pure luck.
Right,
Isn't it?
it's just a MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin.
So it just happens.
I'll stand right here and I'll just point the knife. Oh, there it's there. Let's go. No.
Did you notice who played Ray's mum?
I can't remember what she
Looks
looked like.
familiar, actually. I don't. Who was that?
Jodie Comer. She's in that show, Killing Eve.
That's it. As I know, recognised her.
She's a Scouser.
Scouser. That's right.
What did you make of it? Because like they obviously banged on, and this was one of the biggest transitions from The Last Jedi, that she was a nobody, and they really drummed that in, and then they totally went the other way. There's no way she was meant to be Palpatine's granddaughter from the very start.
Nah, I think it was just the. I don't know. I really don't know what the plan was.
I think anytime they mentioned it, it just sounded when he was like, "I can't wait for my granddaughter to come home," and then like, there was a bit when like Ren saying, "You're his granddaughter." I don't know why saying, see if he'd been Palpatine, she'd been Palpatine's daughter. I don't think that sounds as weird as the granddaughter, but I don't know. Is that just me, or is that a thing?
For me, man, it feels like they're just making up as they go along. I mean, I don't know, mate. I didn't like it. I think it should have been. You kind of got the impression, though, through the film that this is me just kind of playing the advocate here, that they were trying to build this. I mean, you kind of keep saying she was a nobody, and then have these mad skills. You know what I mean? I think there's potential there, and then whether or not they decided to put her in as Big Palpa Palps, his granddaughter, I don't know, mate. You know what I mean? But I just felt it was just a bit naff. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Would I have liked it for just to have been nobody and just kind of, I don't know, man. But I know what you're saying. The granddaughter thing doesn't sound it sounds worse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Than just a daughter.
I think it's because you picture like a grandparent being really like giving you sweets and being just a really sweet person, but then it's Palpatine. You're trying to imagine him being a grandpa. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. He's a quid, granddad. He's a quid.
One thing I did like that I just remembered is I like Rey's yellow lightsaber at the end of the film. I like that color.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, that was cool.
She's meant to be leading there was like 3 new films announced. There's the Dawn of the Jedi, which is set like the origins of the Force, which sounds quite interesting. There's the Dave Filoni one, which is like the conclusion of the Mandoverse, and then there's Rey one that's set after the episode 9.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what goes there.
Yeah. You see, Filoni's been made the kind of creative director of all Star Wars movies.
Congratulations, Dave, friend of the channel.
Have you got his signature or not?
No, I don't know. I think I'll reach out to Twitter. We might think of a few more things just off the back of that. This was the hardest one to get comments for, by the way. Cody Dubb said it was ... I said, don't leave me in suspense, and he says that's the best thing I can say about it, lol. So that's what he said.
The thing is, nobody wants attached to this film because it'll give them a bad name.
Yeah. So
I understand.
The Set That Turkey came back and said, when it comes to Star Wars as a whole, this is the bottom for me. I know JJ had to build off The Last Jedi. This just wasn't the right direction. What's the script? Just put a gif saying, son, just don't. The Comfortable Spot podcast said one of the worst movies ever. Maybe one of the worst Star Wars movie. I don't know, it was one of the worst movies ever. Had me laughing out loud along with people in the cinema. When you look at Andor, you realize that the people behind this were morons. Suns and Shadows cast said it was a movie. Somewhere in the movie, the ideas seem obviously relegated to the background. I think we've mentioned that, as if there was a better idea that was abandoned. The movie struggles with itself, the cast, the script. Craig, what's the script said? Visually excellent. The fallen Death Star be my favourite scene to look at. it's one of the biggest cinematic failings to be put on the big screen with regards to lore, canon, and writing. Craig, say what you feel. Geeky Dad Podcast said it looked pretty. That's about it. And Strachan said felt more like a Marvel movie than a Star Wars film. Thinking about it makes me sad. I would agree. I think it's got kind of Endgame vibes, whereas not being as good as Endgame.
Nowhere
Not
near.
that Endgame's that great. I don't think it's as good as a lot of other Marvel films, but that's just me.
Yeah, and like I said about The Last Jedi as well, like there's a lot of stuff that they just shoehorn in just because they think it'd be a cool idea, and it doesn't pay off. Like all the Star Destroyers been on that planet, and they can only leave because there's one antenna on the ground, and then they're like, "Oh, we can't." Was it they can't bomb it or something? So they need to attack it on the ground. So they've got horses.
Aye.
And I'm like, why can't you attack it from there? Why? And then they're like, oh, it's been deactivated. And like Finn is like, oh, it'll be on that ship over there. Out of the bazillion Star Destroyers out here, it's on that one. So they land the horses on the ship just to look cool. It's so daft, man. I can't hack it. I'm gonna crack up. I'm gonna start.
It's maybe a good. Oh, we need to do the seismic scores for this from. Right.
So Colin, you go first this time.
I'll go first. Am I rating it as a movie or a Star Wars movie?
Star Wars movie.
Star Wars movie. I'll probably give it a 3.5.
Oh, down low.
It's my least favorite of the three by far.
I think that's probably the lowest score you've ever given anything ever in the 100 episodes we've done.
I just think there's a couple of good moments. I like Lando. I like Han. I like some of Poe's moments, but just the whole Palpatine thing just ruins it for me. Like, I'll still watch it because it's Star Wars, but it's at least my second least favorite Star Wars film. Attack of the Clones runs it close.
Yeah,
so this is a better movie.
It's enjoyable to watch, but it just skips over everything that's ever came before it.
Attack of the Clones is a better story. Again, yeah, it's got the worst story. It's better looking than the prequels. I think all the sequels are better looking than the prequels. But it would definitely be in like my bottom two Star Wars films.
What's your other bottom one? Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones is probably near the bottom.
It's fair enough.
We can maybe do a modern ranking at some point. That could be fun.
I'll go next then. So I gave Force Awakens 7. Last year I had 7.5. I think this one I'm going to give it an 8 point. Just joking. I'm going to give it a 6. I think for me it's not strong. I know, but
you're not as sweaty as us.
No, exactly. So I need to. You be more critical for me.
I'll just snip his armpit for any audio listeners.
So it's quite clearly the weakest of the three, in my opinion. I felt it's quite rushed, and the fact that I just didn't feel it was as gripping as the last two. So, and there's obviously plot holes everywhere. But the moments that I liked, obviously, we spoke about it. Han Solo with Ben, the inverse of what he said from The Force Awakens, the Lando being back. It brought back good characters. I just didn't like the fake outs, really.
Yeah.
So, and I think I agree with you, Colin. One of them should have stuck. Don't just do that to us. I think you got to try and, you know, go the full way with one of the characters, and it should have been C3PO, I think. But yeah, so I gave it a 6. Did I say?
Yeah.
6. What about you, Paul?
So I give Last Jedi 3.5.
No.
I'll have to go with that 2 or something.
You've put yourself in a corner there, haven't you?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. I'll give it 2 because it looks good. But other than that, I'd probably say, like James was alluding to earlier, I'm probably a bit more severe on it because I like the Star Wars movies. And from what's came before it, I feel like this is just such a big downgrade. Like, the characters just fell off a cliff. Like, Finn, from being like the most interesting character in the first one to me, just was relegated to a guy that stands in the background shouting Rey for the whole movie. That's all he does, shout Rey. And that's it.
He puts me in mind the Michael from Lost. All he does is shout Walt. Walt!
I get that reference.
Hey. So you should have just died the second one, Paul.
When are we doing our Lost podcast, by the way? That'd be great fun.
We need to sort it. We need to sort it, man. But you should have died the second one.
Like, he done that, and he introduced things like force healing and stuff, which kind of just makes the other films, when all these all-powerful Jedi had all these powers. Yeah, exactly. Like, this means all that could have been avoided. I think Reylo was just everything was forced, man. There was just nothing
forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt they were trying to put out too many fires that had been created by the first film. Didn't do it well, and then they just didn't have a clear direction what was going on. Like, the lazy writing, bringing back Palpatine. Like, yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. I'm actually surprised they didn't try and kill off Lando as well, just to complete the Lando and Shay in the same thing. Like, there you go. That's everything that you loved.
The legacy.
Aye, but if Filoni gets to go ahead, if he gets to do what he wants to do, then I'm more optimistic for the future of Star Wars. Like, you've seen, like, the TV shows, like, I absolutely love Andor. That's like one of my most favourite Star Wars things of all time. And Mando's good. Degraded a wee bit from the start, but I think that's maybe just because the ideas are getting a bit samey. But overall, I think Star Wars is a good place because for years we didn't have it, and so I'm enjoying it. It's just these films just didn't hit the mark for me.
We've got a final wee comment from Cinematic Leap, who says that Rise of Skywalker had some good moments, however, suffers from the quality of the franchise as a whole. Visually excellent, though.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't complain about. Like, whoever did the special effects department done a cracking job for, like, everything they're meant to do. It's just this movie suffers from poor writing and poor scripts, just terrible.
With that in mind, let's give our scores for the trilogy as a whole, which is quite challenging, but I'm going to attempt it. Yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, this is hard. 6.5. I was going to go 7, but Rise of Skywalker like brings it down too much, I would say, because I think Force Awakens is like a solid 8 out of. I can't remember. Did I give it? I think I gave it an 8 out of 10 film. Rise of Last Jedi, I love a lot of it, so I couldn't put it lower than 6 because of that. I'd like to have given it 7, but I think Rise of Skywalker for balancing it out. But I think the production issues were the big challenge. I think if JJ had done the whole trilogy, or Rian Johnson had done the whole trilogy, or people just hadn't been trying to like contradict one another, then I think it could have been better. I think the whole concept would have to have been rewritten in terms of like reusing the stormtroopers, Death Stars, etc., for it to be like peak. So I think 6.5 is fair in terms of the whole trilogy, in my opinion.
It's fair enough, man. Fair enough. Yeah. I get you mean about the stormtroopers, like the whole concept. I think they played it a bit safe because they wanted to get the audience back. I think that's maybe why it was, but yeah, I wonder what new concept.
Soft reboot.
Yeah. What about you, Jamesy boy? Who you going for?
I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Hey.
Oh,
we didn't mention Babu Freak. Hey. Sorry.
I like that. No, so I'm getting 7 out of 10, man. So I think Force Awakens 7, Last Jedi 7.5, and gave Rise of Skywalker 6.5. So I think I'm being fair to it. I'm going to get a 7 out of 10. It's very much covering the same points as Scotland. I mean, there was the good bits we spoke about, the bad bits. Obviously, you think because of the Star Wars geeks in yous, you ranked it a hell of a lot lower than I did, but I still enjoyed the films. You know what I mean? Still enjoyed the films, even though I did fall asleep during the third one or the ninth one. So I'm going to get 7 out of 10, man. I'm just kind of rambling on here. 7 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Paul, you've got to go lower, by the way, just because of your numbers. If you don't, it just ruins the whole podcast.
On average, across all three, I'm going to give it a 9.
I did sit beside you in higher maths.
That's true. Aye, over 2 years. Oh no, that was me. It was in 2 years.
No, I did it too, but I wasn't in your class the first year. That's irrelevant.
All right. Two dummies together. Overall, as a trilogy, I'd probably say a 4.5. Just a 4. Because I think, like, Force Awakens, I do love Force Awakens. I really like that. But the other two just are so subpar for me that the other one can't hold it up that much. Like 5 is a decent average kind of movie for me, and because The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker are below par for me, and I can't put it as average, so I'm putting it as a 4. Just doesn't hit the mark for me, man. Unfortunately, like I want to love it. I do. Like across the 3 films, let's say, it looks amazing, but the choices they make, it just goes from like, I don't know, they just don't know what they want. They just don't know what they want at all. And, like, it looks like they're building something and then they just crash it down straight away in the next film. Build something, crash it straight down in the next film, and it's just so inconsistent and so stop-start that, yeah, I just can't get behind it. So 4 for me.
Cool.
Fair enough. Right. This has been an epic. One last thing is, being our 100th episode, I put a wee post on just to try and get some love from some people, and we got a few comments. So Project what's that? Help love. Project Football Podcast, who me and Paul have been on theirs. We've sent in wee clips, and they were on for Dodgeball. They said massive congratulations on hitting the century. Had a great time recording the Dodgeball episode. Keep it going, lads. The Grey's Taproom Podcast, who we had on for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, said happy 100. Craig from What's the Script said, congratulations, boys. Been a pleasure getting to know you all. Here's to the next 100. And Strachan said, well done reaching 100. You guys did so well to stay so consistent. Favorite memory is ranking the Harry Potter films and the movie soundtrack ranking. They were some good fun in the early days as well.
I do miss the soundtrack ranking was good.
You should listen to it, James, if you haven't.
Sorry?
What's the singing?
You should listen to us ranking movie and TV soundtracks. It's hilarious. We're singing it.
All right, okay. I'll put it in my...
It was pre-video days. It's just audio.
Right, okay.
So yeah, I think that's about us. So this will come out. Well, no one cares when it'll come out because I'm speaking in the past or future, whatever. Seismic Soccer episode 3 is out after this, and then we're doing some Christmas movies, aren't we? Elf and Home Alone 3 is the plan, and then I'll be Christmas break.
Christmas break. Woo! Yep. Elf and so Paul's hosting Seismic Cinema. Seismic Soccer. Paul, didn't you? You get some.
That's going to be even more of a dumpster fire than the sequel trilogy.
We're going to get folk on the socials to give us some ideas as well, man. We're quite. I think we've got a few ideas up our sleeve.
Financial fair play.
Here we go. So the FXE is going to be put in place with the Everton thing, the Everton scandal. So we can discuss that. I think there's is Gary going to come on the pod for this one?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah. And maybe talking about the squad, the Scotland squad going to Germany, the movers and shakers, and who could and who couldn't.
Aye, could do that.
Possibly. I think Colin wants to talk about the Jack Butland Appreciation Society, probably.
Okay,
yeah, well, why not? So yeah, it's been a long one, but I've enjoyed talking about the sequels with you guys. I think we were pretty balanced in the things we liked and didn't like. Well, me and James were. Sorry, Paul, Joan. But we'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts, continued thoughts, and thanks to everybody who reached out to get in touch. And we're glad to make it to 100 and looking forward to continuing over the next wee while.
Yeah, here's to 100 more, but no more than that.
Keep on listening.
Cheers.
Keep on watching.